So you worked hard and built a beautiful website that no one visits. It turns out that building a website is only half the battle. Getting discovered is the real challenge. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 practical tips that you can implement today to help optimize your website for search engines like Google. Hey, I'm Devin, the Practical Marketing Guy, and on this channel, I share my over 20 years of marketing experience with you to help you reach more people and look great doing it. If you're new around here, consider subscribing to get more videos just like this one, and if this video is helpful, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. So it can be very discouraging to work so hard building and launching a website just to discover that no one's showing up. And it can feel like such a mystery to figure out how to get discovered, how to drive traffic, and most importantly, how to show up on Google. The practice of structuring the code and content of your website properly to play well with search engines like Google and show up in search is called search engine optimization, or SEO for short. In this video, I'm going to go over 5 practical tips that you can implement yourself today, even if you're not very technical, to help improve your website's chances of showing up in search engines. Now, an important disclaimer, SEO is a huge topic that is the subject of hours-long video trainings and is the focal point of entire companies that specialize just in SEO. All that to say that this video is by no means an all-exhaustive list of everything there is to know about SEO, nor is it a pro-level training. This is an introduction to SEO for do-it-yourselfers and small business owners that need to be able to implement some changes to their websites themselves, even if you're not super technical, so that you can help your website perform better and you can drive traffic today. SEO hack number 1 is to ensure that you have a mobile-first responsive website. In this video here, I go over why having a mobile-first responsive website is so important for visitor experience. But it turns out having a responsive website is about more than just the best user experience. It also matters for your SEO. That's because Google actually prioritizes mobile-friendly and mobile-optimized websites. Well, how do they know? Google can actually see the code of your website, and there is some specific code that will show up, like setting the viewport size and using media queries, that signals to Google that you have a responsive and mobile-first website. Now, why does Google care if your website is mobile-first and responsive? Because Google knows, just like you should know, that well over half of all website traffic today takes place from mobile devices, which means the majority of people searching on Google are doing so from their mobile device. And Google wants them to have the best user experience possible, not only on Google's platform, but on their ultimate destination website. So if your website is mobile optimized and responsive, Google will reward that and promote your website more in search. But if your website is not mobile optimized and not responsive, Google will actually penalize you and demote your website in search. So if your website is not mobile optimized, not responsive, not great on mobile devices, what are you waiting for?
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man.
This is just one more reason why your website should absolutely be mobile first. The good news is most modern website builders, including my personal favorite, WordPress template and page builder Divi, are responsive and mobile first. So if you're not sure, visit your own website from a mobile device, and if it doesn't seem like it's optimized, fix it today. SEO hack number 2 is to fill your website with relevant and quality content. This is probably the most overlooked and underrated aspect of SEO because it's not very technical. But the truth is, filling your website with great and relevant content is important for a couple of reasons. Number 1, Google now scans the actual content of your website to determine what your website is about and what search results it should show up in. It used to be all about keywords, and while those still matter and we're going to get to them later in the video, they're not nearly as important as they used to be. Because people were doing things like keyword dumping to try to hack the system, Google has downplayed the importance of keywords and they've upplayed the importance of the actual content on your website. So if you want to show up in the proper search results, make sure you have lots of content about what your business or services are actually about and that you repeat important keywords in the actual content of your website. Now, the other great reason to fill your website with quality and relevant content is to keep visitors on your page longer. Another metric that plays into how well you show up in search is session time and bounce rates. Essentially, when someone clicks onto your website website, how quickly do they click off, or how long do they stay? If your website is filled with great content, people will stay on your website longer, but if there's nothing there to see, they're gonna click off quickly. If you can reduce your bounce rate and up your session time, Google's gonna like that and reward you in search. SEO hack number 3 is frequent updates. Every single file on the internet actually has a timestamp that Google can see. Google knows when the last time the files on your website were updated. And Google gives priority to websites that have been more recently updated or updated very frequently, because that signals to Google that that is an active website that needs to be refreshed in their database. However, if you designed your website, washed your hands of it, and said, I'm done with that, and forgot about it for a year, 2, or 5,
it's been 84 years.
That's actually working against you. When Google looks at the timestamps of your files, it looks like an abandoned or obsolete website, and therefore you get demoted in search. A couple of the easiest ways to ensure that your website is regularly updated is to either add a blog or a photo gallery. Either one of these options would allow you to update your website weekly, monthly, even daily to refresh those timestamps, signal to Google that you are an active and frequently updated website, and improve your position in search. SEO hack number 4 is to fill out all of those technical tags. This is the part of SEO that everybody thinks about. And while it's important, it's just one of the many best practices that you should keep to ensure you continue to show up well in search. Now, some of the most important tags to ensure you have filled out include your meta tags, which are your descriptions and your keywords, your title tag, which gives a title to every page on your website, your headers and the actual content, which are your H1, H2, H3, etc. tags, and the alt attribute of the image tag. Now, I know all that sounds very technical and overwhelming, but I am your certified nerd guide here to help you along. If you have access to the code, you're gonna find the meta tags in the head section, which is outside of the body and not visible in the actual website, and you're gonna wanna fill out the meta keywords tag and the meta description tag. Keywords, as I mentioned, are not as important as they used to be, but they do still matter. And the description is actually the block of text that shows up underneath the title of your website in the Google search result. Your title tag is also found in the head section of your website, and it's where you place the title of the page that shows up as the clickable link in your Google search result and on the actual tab in your web browser. Your H1, H2, H3 tags are the different headers that break up the actual content of your website and help it to be structured for things like screen readers and Google snippets. And finally, the alt attribute of the image tag gives embedded text into an image that helps again with screen readers and also Google as they scan your website for the actual content, because they can't see images, but they can read text embedded in an image. Now, I know that all probably still sounds very technical, but the good news is if you're using a website builder or template, which most of you are, this stuff is much more accessible than you think. In order to ensure your title tag is filled out well, make sure you name the page something relevant and clear when you create the page, not just page 1 or page 2 or even just about. Give it a descriptive and succinct name. That will typically fill out the title tag. To complete the alt attribute of the image tag, when you upload and add an image to your website, fill out either the alt box or the description box that you will see in your website builder. Don't leave it blank. To structure your content well with header tags like H1, H2, and H3, make sure you break up text into sections, select a header area, and make it a H1, H2, or H3 tag. And for the rest of the stuff like meta tags, descriptions, and keywords, there's probably a settings section or an SEO section in your website builder. Don't avoid it, don't stay away from it because it's scary. Click in there, complete as much of it as you can figure out, ask for help if you have to, and ensure that your website is structured the best that it can be. And finally, SEO hack number 5 is to leverage social exposure. I talked a bit in this video about how social media platforms perform incredibly well in search engines like Google. The reason why is because a couple of the factors that Google looks at is how often a website is updated, how often it's linked to, and how many people visit it. And there are very few websites on planet Earth that are updated more often, linked back to more frequently, and visited more often than social media sites. This is why sometimes if you search for a business by name, you'll actually see their social media pages before their actual website. Now you can leverage leverage this to your advantage by ensuring that your business is on social media platforms, active on those platforms, and that your pages link back to your home base, your own website. So those are 5 quick tips that you can do yourself to better structure your website and help you show up better in search engines like Google. Now, you can certainly do this yourself. You can follow along to the things that I talked about and figure it out, or you can leverage the power of a tool that helps you to do it more consistently and more efficiently. There are tons of tools out there, but my favorite is called SEMrush. It allows you to automatically audit and scan pages in your website for discrepancies or weaknesses. It gives you suggestions on how you can improve your search engine optimization, and it helps you to quickly and automatically implement those changes, ensuring that your website continues to show up in search. If you're interested in learning more about that tool, they actually have a free trial, and there is a link in the description where you can get started. That's gonna do it for today's video. I hope it was helpful. Let me know in the comments what the most surprising tip was that you didn't know yet, or if you think I missed one, let me know that in the comments as well. If this was helpful, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and we will see you in the next video.